Hello, everyone. Welcome to the video recording on governance and management of Microsoft 365 groups. My name is Vinay, and I work as a program manager on the groups team. I work out of the Bangalore office in India, and I have been with the groups team for close to an year now. I look into various enterprise scenarios around group governance and management. I'm glad to have connected with few of you over the past year and look forward to connecting with more people. You can reach out to me directly via email and also reach out to me on LinkedIn using the QR code you see on your screen. Today, we are excited to talk about the various things we have been working on in the past year. With that quick introduction, let's get started. As an IT admin of groups, you might often have a dilemma around how do you control group governance and at the same time empower your end users by enabling self-service. To ensure group governance, you might want to control who's creating a group or control what type of groups are getting created. You might want to ensure accountability in such groups and protect high value information. You might want to ensure security of the groups to prevent data leaks. To have better control over group governance, you might wonder if you should be enabling self service at all. If you don't enable self-service, your end users might have to go through the ticketing process you set up, which not only increases the burden on your IT team, but also makes it a painful and time-consuming process. Due to the time and complexity of such processes, your end users might start going around your restrictions by collaborating in different systems, which you have little or no visibility into, leading to the typical problem of shadow IT. Lastly, with remote working and increased adoption of groups, you would probably have to deal with huge number of these groups which are getting created in different apps. To help you manage groups at scale, ensure governance, and enable self-service, I'll walk you through a list of tools you can use. In this session, I'll be focusing on the new tools in blue, which we have rolled out or actively been investing in. The new tools include sensitivity labels, which help you manage privacy and external access of groups, information barriers, which help you create barriers of communication between user segments, and ownership governance, which will help you manage the problem of orphaned or ownerless groups. To make sure you have complete knowledge of all the tools, I will also quickly walk through the existing group governance tools you can use, such as the expiration and renewal policy to help you automate cleanup of inactive groups, naming policy to help you define naming convention of different groups, group creation, which will help you control who can actually create these groups, and finally, guest access control will help you manage guests in your organization. We just spoke about why it is important for you as an IT admin to enable self-service for your end users. Once you enable self-service, you want to manage group governance at scale with very little user training so that they can easily learn and apply without making any mistakes. For example, you want to prevent your end users from creating public groups for storing high value information or prevent them from adding external users to such groups. You can solve this problem by using sensitivity labels, also known as Microsoft Information Protection Labels or MIP labels. Using MIP labels, you can ensure both governance and seamless experience for your end users. And we are glad to announce that this feature is now generally available on Microsoft 365 groups. Even better, 1,200 plus customers have already onboarded to this feature on groups, and over 160,000 plus groups have been created with these labels so far. So, how do you use this feature? You can create sensitivity labels in the Security Center or Compliance Center. While creating the label, select appropriate group privacy and external user settings. Then go ahead and publish the labels by selecting labels you just created. Once the labels are published, end users have to just pick the right labels based on the sensitivity of the group they are creating. Let me walk you through a demo to show you how this works. I can log in as an admin into the Microsoft 365 Security Center and go to the sensitivity labels page. Here, I can go ahead and create new labels. For the sake of the demo, I have created three labels already called as general, confidential, and highly confidential. Let me now show you how you can link these labels to the privacy and external user settings of a group. So let me click on edit label and directly go to the new tab we have added called as site and group settings. Here you can pick the privacy of this label to be public, private, or none. You can also go ahead and check or uncheck this field to specify whether a group created with these labels can have guests or not. So let me cancel this because I already have created a few labels. And once you have created the labels, you can go to the label policies page and publish these labels. You can pick a list of labels you want to publish, and you can also select the users who will get these labels. So different users can get different labels. So once you have gone ahead and published the labels, the end users will start seeing these labels. So now let's see how the end user experience looks like. So now I have logged in as Alex, who is an end user into the Outlook web experience. And let's say Alex wants to create a new group for financial reporting. And Alex knows that this groups will contain sensitive information. So he can go ahead and pick the sensitivity of this group by picking the highly confidential label. So you'll notice that as soon as Alex picks the highly confidential label, the privacy of the group changes to private and it says that no guests can be added to this particular group. Hence, now without committing any mistakes, Alex can go ahead and create this group. So you just saw a demo of how to use sensitivity labels on groups. To summarize, with sensitivity labels, you can automatically enforce privacy and external group settings during group creation. 13 apps support sensitivity label based group creation already. Microsoft Admin Center, Planner, and Yammer will soon be adding support for these labels as well. You can choose to have different sensitivity labels for groups and documents. Further, whenever you make a change to the label settings from public to private, for example, they will automatically start reflecting on the groups. You might already have been using classic Azure information protection labels, also known as AIP labels, to classify groups with high value information. We recommend you migrate your AIP labels to sensitivity labels on groups. You can find more information on that in the link below. You could have a strategy around which users get access to which set of labels by publishing them accordingly. So with sensitivity labels, you can not only manage group governance at scale, but also let your end users create groups by enabling self-service. For more information on this feature, you can refer to the links below. Let me now walk you through the next big security and compliance feature we will be supporting on groups called as information barriers. This feature is already available on Teams and SharePoint, and soon will be available on the associated Microsoft 365 groups. To understand what an information barrier means, assume Contoso is a financial company in the US that has two departments called as researchers and traders. Potential leak of research report from researchers to traders could lead to a conflict of interest within Contoso. FINRA, which is a financial industry regulatory authority in the US, has enforced the regulation around conflict of interest. This regulation requires Contoso to create an ethical wall or an information barrier to block any sort of communication or collaboration between such departments. The use case is not just restricted to financial industries and extends to other highly regulated industries such as pharma, healthcare, and even education and consulting. For example, you might be a consulting company having employees work for competing clients. The client contracts might require you to create an information barrier between these groups of employees. In all such cases, information barriers features on group helps prevent two conflicting users from being part of the same Microsoft 365 group. So, how exactly can you create an information barrier within Contoso? Let's assume Contoso has three departments: HR, research, and trading, as you see on the right of your screen. As you can see, HR department can talk to both research and trading department, but research and trading can't talk to each other. So how do you define these barriers? You can define segments in security and compliance center using different attributes such as department. For example, you can create a HR segment to include members of the HR department. You can then define information barrier policies, also known as IB policies, between these segments by specifying which segment can talk to which other segment. Once the policies are in place, in teams, addition of members to groups will honor IB policy. In SharePoint, you can restrict which segment can be part of a site by using SharePoint partial. Let me walk you through a demo to show how it works. Now let me show you how you can create information barriers within your tenant. For the sake of this demo, I've already created few user segments and specified an information barrier policy between those segments. Let me show you how they look like. Let me copy the PowerShell command and go to the Security and Compliance Center PowerShell where I've already logged in and enter this command. This will show you a list of segments which are already there on this particular tenant, which includes research and trading. The research segment belongs to the research department, and the trading segment belongs to the trading department. Let me just copy these information for my future reference. Next, let me show you how these segments are linked to each other via an information barrier policy. So let me just paste this commandlet, and this will show you that there are two policies which specify that the research segment cannot talk to trading and vice versa. Let me also show you how the different users are linked to these segments and policies which I just specified. So there are various users within this tenant. I'll just focus on the first four. So Alan and Alex belong to trading, Christy belongs to research, and Delia belongs to HR. Alan and Alex cannot talk to Christy, who is from research segment, according to the information barrier policy. However, Alan and Alex can talk to Delia. Now, let me show you how the end user experience looks like in Teams. So I've logged in as Alex, who is a trader, and I already have a team called Trading Team. Now let me try to add a member to this team as Alex. Alex can go ahead and add Alan, who is also a trader. Alex can go ahead and add Delia, who is from the HR department. However, Alex will not be able to find Christy, who belongs to the research segment, because there is a policy which says that Alex and Christy cannot be talking to each other. Now, let me also show you how the SharePoint experience looks like. So I have logged in as Alex again, and for the sake of the demo, I've already created a site called Trading Guide. Now, let's say I want to restrict this site to only the trading department because this is confidential and only the traders need to know about this. So what I will do is let me copy this commandlet and go to SharePoint PowerShell where I've already logged in and paste the command. So what I'm trying to do in this commandlet is giving the site URL and saying that this site can be restricted to only the segment which is 8875, which is nothing but the segment which belongs to the trading department. So now I have gone ahead and stamped the trading segment on the trading guide site. Let me also show you how this particular site is linked to a group. So now I've logged into Graph Explorer as the global admin, and let me run this query to get all the groups within the organization. And once I run the query, let me search for the trading guide site. And you'll notice that the trading guide site is now stamped with the segment ID of trading department. Now, hence, the SharePoint site is now also linked to a group in terms of information barrier. So now, if I go back to my SharePoint site, which was called Trading Guide, and as Alex, I try to add a member, you'll notice that Alex can add Alan, who is from the trading department. Alex will not be able to add Christy because there is a policy which says that Alan and Christy cannot be talking to each other. Further, Aller will not even be able to add Delia from the HR segment because this site is restricted to only the trading department. To summarize, information barriers help you prevent conflict of interest within your organization. The policies are automatically enforced when members are added to groups on Teams and SharePoint. There could be scenarios where, for example, a user is moving from trading department to a research department, and in such case, soon background compliance assistant will clean up the membership of these groups automatically to honor the IB policies. While you are enabling information barriers feature in the tenant, we recommend you segment your organization such that every user is part of only one segment. You can define both allow and block IB policies between these segments based on your need. To restrict group connected sites to a specific segment, use SharePoint PowerShell. To know more about information barriers, you can refer to the link below. You can also connect with us directly by using the QR code on your screen and sign up. Next, I'll be talking about one of the frequently asked features around ownership governance. Let's take a scenario where Christy, who works as a research analyst in Contoso, has decided to either switch departments within the organization or maybe even leave the organization. In both cases, Christie's existing account could either be disabled or removed. Hence, the next big question is who is accountable for Christie's groups where she was the sole owner? Who is accountable for the data, membership, and compliance of these groups? Tony, who is the global IT admin of Contoso, might be concerned about keeping track of these ownerless groups or think about informing the members of these groups. He might be trying to figure out who should be made owners of such groups, all of which could be a manual and time consuming process for Tony. And it's an ongoing problem because 65% of the groups have a single owner, which could potentially become ownerless when these single owners leave the company or maybe switch departments. To make it easy, we'll soon be showing a report of ownerless groups, which Tony and any other such IT admins can use to take action. Let me show you how it looks. We are happy to announce that in Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you'll soon have the ability to view number of owners on a specific group, assign owner easily to such ownerless groups, and emails members of such orphan groups directly from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, requesting these members to take up ownership. Further, in the groups page on Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you'll be able to view a report of ownerless groups by applying a filter. Lastly, because keeping a track of large volumes of such groups could be challenging, we are actively investing in automating management of ownerless groups. If you're interested to know more, please sign up for the preview using the QR code on your screen. With that, let me now show you a demo of what we have already built. So now I have logged into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as Tony, the admin of Contoso. On the groups page, I can view a list of all the groups within this tenant, but I don't know which among these groups are ownerless. To help you solve that problem, we have added a new filter called ownerless groups. So once you click on this filter, you will get a list of groups which have no owners. You can go ahead and export these groups to a CSV if you want to. Further, let's say you click on one of these ownerless groups. Here, within the group detail window, you can see that we have added a new field called owner count, which shows you the number of owners in a particular group. And for ownerless groups, the IT admins will get a warning message that they can go ahead and assign an owner directly from here, or they can also click on Ask Members to send email requests. So let me click on Ask Members. So what this does is it will show you a pre-populated email with the text put in already. So you can modify this if you want to. You can go ahead and edit this email recipient list as well. And once you click on send email, this email will be sent to the members of the group requesting them to take up ownership. And once they respond, you can manually go ahead and update the owners for this particular group. Few of you might have questions on how to control which users within your organization can create a Microsoft 365 group. You can control group creation by going through the following steps. First, you would have to create a security group and include a list of members who are allowed to create groups. For example, you could define a security group with dynamic membership such that anyone in the location equal to US will be allowed to create a group. Once you define a security group with allowed list of members, you can go ahead and run the script which you see on your screen, post which we will disable group creation for all and allow only selected members to create a group across workloads. Next, I'll talk about the expiration policy on groups. As an IT admin, you might have a huge number of inactive groups in your system, which you want to clean up. You can use the expiry and auto renewal feature we previously released to solve this problem. Let me walk you through the steps on how to do this. First, go to the Azure Active Directory portal, specify an expiry duration, and select a list of groups you want to enable this policy on. Once the policy is enabled, groups from Outlook, SharePoint, and Teams will be auto renewed based on user activity. For inactive groups, renewal notifications will be sent to owners. In case a group is not renewed, it will first be soft deleted, and after 30 days, the group will be hard deleted. While you roll out this feature, we recommend you start with a small set of groups and then extend the policy to include all the groups in your organization. Since only SharePoint, Teams, and Outlook currently support auto renewal, for other apps, you would have to renew the groups manually. Many end users might not be aware that this policy applies retroactively. So it would be good for you as admins to plan end user communication in advance before you roll out. To reduce the number of renewal notifications which are sent to IT admins, ensure that groups have owners. The first renewal cycle is generally the cleanup cycle. All unused groups accumulated till date get deleted. The auto renewal rate goes up significantly after the first cycle. Currently, the average auto renewal rate is around 79%. If you have not already enabled this feature, we recommend you enable this feature to clean up the inactive groups in your tenant. You can find more details about the features in the links below. Next, I want to talk about a feature we launched previously called as naming policy. This feature helps you standardize group names within your organization. You can enable this feature by going to Azure Active Directory. There, you can specify prefix and suffix for group names by using various Azure AD attributes. For example, you could specify the prefix to include the department attribute. Then, if a user from the finance department creates a group, It will be prefixed with the word finance. You can also specify a list of block words by uploading in Excel. For example, you might want to prevent anyone from creating a group called as CEO. We recommend you use short strings for suffix, use attributes with values while defining prefix and suffix. Lastly, be aware that the total length of group names cannot exceed 264 characters. This feature will help you have a standard naming convention for all your groups across your organization. You can find more details about this feature in the links below. Next, I'll be talking about the feature we launched previously called as guest access. You can use guest access to collaborate with users outside your organization. Guest access can be used for any email domain and it works on Azure B2B platform. Several customers have onboarded to guest access and there are currently 7.5 million plus active guests already. You can govern guest access by specifying a list of allowed or blocked domains. With a guest inviter role, you can give individual users the ability to invite guests without assigning them a global administrator or another admin role. You can use access reviews to specify an expiry date on guests. Finally, with entitlement management, you can create and share access packages with other organizations and help them onboard new joinees quickly. So using these guest access tools, you can collaborate with users outside your organization in a secure and an easy way. You can find more details about the feature in the links below. In this slide, you can see a list of all the recordings. The recordings on groups are highlighted and I highly recommend you review them. With that, we have come to the end of this video recording. Thank you for listening patiently and hope few of the tools we discussed will help you manage groups within your organization. On your screen, you will also see a list of various resources you can refer to around groups. Feel free to reach out to me on my email if you have any further questions. And thank you for watching.